Hello, good evening, welcome to Easy 8's Online Painting Club. My name's Danny, says it right down there at the bottom of the screen. It's been a little while since I've been on show, and I think I've forgotten how to do things, and I've already messed things up in the studio. But hey, I'm here, I'm back. I wasn't here last week, and I'm really sorry for not being here last week. It was just because we went to Salute 50. It was an amazing time. I say we, it wasn't just me. It was some of the guys out there in the community as well, and we met loads of others when we got to London. Man, it was a wicked weekend, but Salute was on a Saturday. So we had to travel up on the Friday, so we weren't able to do the show. I wanted to put it on the Thursday, but it just wasn't easy to work it out and make it all happen. Because, you know, this is a hobby and work comes first, and that's really important. However, we had a wonderful time. It was great seeing the Easy 8 community out there. Some people that live locally, others that live far, and we all met up, and it was a big show, man. It was a big show, and yeah, it feels like every time I miss a show for whatever reason, it happens very rarely, but when I do, it always feels more than a week. It always feels like a month, and I'm like, what do I do? What's the point of this? Yeah, so I'm sorry I wasn't here last week. Thank you for being patient with me, and welcome back this week. You will notice that I am wearing something very different today. I do miss wearing the black shirt. It's become an iconic part of what I do. However, I've been wanting to make a merchandise line for a long time, and I've had a lot of calls for it within the community saying, hey, can we get some merch? Yes, you can. Yes, it's available. I don't have like a distributor, so to speak, just yet, but I have the lines. And while the community is quite small, it's quite easy for me to help you purchase them. So if you would want some, correct English, please. If you do want hoodies, polos, t-shirts, hats, whatever, I do now make them. It's proper cool, isn't it? It makes me look a little overweight. I am a little overweight. I drink too much beer, and I like cake. All right, I like cake. What can you do about that? If you want some, drop us a line over here in the live chat. Pop it down there in the comments section, or you can put it over on Facebook. You can try and get hold of me. You know how to do it by now. We're not just here on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram, and you can also talk to me at the end of the show on the Easy 8 After Party at Discord as well. So there you go. I just thought I'd wear it on the show. I like the shirt. It looks smart, but I thought I'd wear it. So this is one of the hoodies that we do. We do a couple of different types of hoodies. There's one that's got a nice little bit of lining here. It's quite nice. I like it. We do a slightly cheaper one without the lining. We do a couple of white t-shirts because I always wear a black shirt and a white t-shirt. So black hoodies, white t-shirts. It's got the same thing on the front. Yeah, I was turning the wrong way there. It's got the same logos. It's also got some on the back as well. So if you can see it here, there it is. Check that out. So if you go to the shows that we go to, you can support Easy 8 by sharing and subscribing. So if you are new here to Easy 8, we're not a tutorial show or anything like that. There's loads of that stuff already out there. This is just a place where you can come, paint your models, get some paint on that kind of horde of plastic grey that we all have. We all got one, and you can do it with some company. Me today, some people that are often in the live chat. There doesn't seem to be anybody on today. That's okay. Not everyone comes along and watches the live show. A lot of people watch it retrospectively, and you are welcome to do that as well. So, if you do like what we do here, please do consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. I've forgotten where my buttons are. My buttons are new. Like I said, I've forgotten how to do everything today. Please do subscribe. If you like what we do here, the community gets better as it gets bigger, and the way to make it bigger is by telling a friend and hitting the big red subscribe button. It would really help me out a million, and every little thing that you guys do has a massive effect over at this end. So please do consider it. We've actually gotten to 88 subscribers. 88 is quite a nice number because Easy 8, you know, it's kind of cool, right? It's 12 more and we get to 100. And maybe the algorithm changes. Maybe it gets to reach more people. And that's something we need to consider as well. So by you sharing, by subscribing, it helps kind of filter it out to more people. And that can only be a good thing. So please do subscribe. That'd be grand. Anyway, let's get off the subscribe thing. Apparently my watch just tells me I've done 10,000 steps. I'm sat down. So that can only be a good thing. If you are working on a project this evening, do let me know. Drop it over here in the live chat if you're coming on the live show. If you're watching it on the playback later on, like a lot of people do, let me know in the comments section or tell me over on Facebook. I genuinely would love to see what it is that you're doing today. I don't just do this because of the likes or anything like that. I genuinely am interested. I find inspiration in what it is that you're doing. So take some pictures, put them on Facebook. There's a link to Facebook and all our platforms just down there. I would love to see what it is that you are working on, because that's what this is all about, and I want to see it all. What am I doing today? I hopefully am going to be finishing up a miniature that I've been working on for the past few weeks. I thought I was going to get to the point where I was going to finish him last week, or not last week, but you know, the last show, and it didn't happen that way, just because there were a few tiny little details, and I just got to the end of the show before I could finish them. I haven't touched him since that last show. And I'm fairly confident I can get to a point where I can call it done and be done tonight. And then I'm going to look at some other projects that I've got just down here. And, you know, maybe if people are coming, I can see people are starting to come online and watching now. If people want to come on, they can help me decide what it is that they'd like to see me paint, if anyone's got an opinion on that. Otherwise, I'll just go for it and paint my own stuff. It's all my own stuff, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Yeah, so that's that. I've going to take a little bit of time to show you the loot that I got from Salute. That rhymes. The loot from Salute. I bought a few things when I was up there, and I also made a tremendous amount of friends through networking. It was a wonderful time at Salute, and if anyone's ever contemplating going in the future, it's worth going. It was so affordable, and it was absolutely worth the day. Me and the people who I travelled up with, we got there at sort of like 10:30, 11 o'clock. It opens at 10. And we stayed there till 4:30. 4 o'clock, 4:30. We had to travel across London to get to Paddington train station, so we didn't want to be late. And we felt like we had a good day there. We felt like we could have done easily another hour without making it like, you know, when you visit things too much, you're like, oh, I'm just doing circles now. There was so much to see, and there were famous people there. Duncan Rhodes is one that stands out in my memory. I don't get starstruck, so I didn't go over like, hey, take a photo with me. But yeah, man, there was so much there. It was so cool. Do go in the future if you want to. This was a special one because it was the 50th anniversary. But I'm going off on a tangent, and that's not what this show is about. So I'm going to take you now over to the workbench. Here we go. Now I'm going to apologise because in the excitement of just getting straight online today, I haven't sorted out my webcams. Normally I'll like do a little zoom in and things like that, and I've noticed already that the one on me over here, the autofocus is all over the place. So my sincerest apologies for that. What can you do? So this is the guy who I've been working on for the last couple of weeks. This is my Adeptus Mechanicus data smith. He programs big robots, and he's also pretty army himself. He's got arms. And I really like this model. I've really enjoyed painting him. I've struggled on one thing, and that is to get the glowy effects on the coil here. Every time I go to do glowing effects, I always think I know what it is that I'm doing. I've come in pre-armed with loads of sort of, you know, videos or watch videos on it, and there's some wonderful stuff out there. And then I always mess it up. So I just need to practice. So that's something that I'm fairly sure I'm not going to be happy with totally by the end of the show. And I'm okay with that. I just need to keep going back to it, having a go, until it gets to the point where I'm satisfied, if that makes sense to you. I've got a little bit of a glowy effect going on inside the gun here. Now, for some reason, I am quite happy with it in there, just because of the way that it's worked. Unfortunately, I don't think I can really get a good... Or maybe you can see in there. I've got like a little bit of overspill where I slapped it in with the paintbrush, got it all over the side of the gun. And it's given a little bit of accidental OSL, which I'm really happy with. It works. So today, there's a couple of little lights and things on him that I'm going to just finish off. Got a little bit of text to do on this purity seal, and I think I want to just kind of bring the sort of off-white colour through a little bit. The stain's quite heavy. I just want to bring that white colour back through, and then do some text on it. And I think that's pretty much it for him. And then I've got to do the base. What I have done with the base is I've painted it Corvus Black. Corvus Black is one of my favourite blacks that I use on the show here. It's slightly grey. It's not a pure black. It's very, very dark grey. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a try on these bases, and it looks really neat. It looks really tidy. And when you compare it to one of my first models, where I painted them red, to match the cloak, because I like a colour that sort of pops from the theme that's on the model itself. While that's a nice colour, it blends away a bit too much. That really makes the miniature stand out without making it look like it's unpainted. I don't like bases looking like they're unpainted, but that looks really smart and really tidy. So yeah, I'm going to do the base on him as well. So I'm just going to get started, really. I've got my paint all cleaned up, and I feel a little bit rusty coming back in after being out of the studio for such a long time. I'm also going to try and have a little go at just doing some highlights on the ripples on his cloak. Now, I do apologise if I go out of shot a lot. I haven't really lined my cameras up very well today. So yeah, sorry about that. If you're watching and it goes all over the place, you're watching live, just drop it in the live chat. Let me know if I'm all over the place. And I will try to do my best. If you're watching it back on replay, I hope I get it right first go. Anyway, here we go. Cool. It feels weird not wearing the shirt. It really does, to be honest with you. Right, I've got a cup of tea. It's a Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. Okay, let's get painting. Let's get some paint on this guy. I'm going to pop these ones over here. Get them out of the way. So, I think first thing I want to do is just the little tiny details that I'm quite inclined to miss. So, there is, I know that the webcam isn't really zoomed in very well, there's a tiny little light, what looks like a little light bulb or something on the back of the backpack here. I'm going to do that a nice green colour. I've also got a little couple of switches and bulbs and things that could be on the backpack here, and I just want to bring in a few little details of like light and whatever, just different colours and stuff to here, just to break it up a little bit, so I think they'll be quite good. And there's also, on this claw here, just in there, there's like a little light bulb, like a little searchlight or scanning light or something to assist. Maybe it's a camera with this hand or this arm or whatever. And I think it would be nice if I did that. The same colour as I've done the light in here. You can't really see that very well because of the silver caging that goes over it, but I have done it in yellow. And it's subtle. I know it's there. I see it. I like it. Although I've never really seen lights being done in a way that looks really good. Like, light isn't a colour, is it? But headlights on a car or something like that, they have like a colour, but often they're silver, which would be lost in this. So yeah, I decided to go old school yellow, and it seems to work in there. So I'm happy with that. Yeah, anyway, there we go. So first things first, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a bit of white on these lights to, you know, put down a nice little base, because the white obviously is going to be a nice little sort of a primer, if you like, for the bright colours that I'm going to put on it, and that will affect the luminosity and the sort of the lighting effect, the gradient, if you like, on the lights themselves. Just going to add just a touch of water to it. Feels good to be back on the show. Right, so let's do the one on the backpack first. So, simple as that, just a little white dot, and in a minute I'm going to paint colours on it, like the little light bulb that's on the top of his backpack, where I've got some really nice colour fade going in there. I hope to achieve something similar. I won't do as much effort as I've done with that light bulb. I'm just basically going to drop a little bit of watered down light green on it, and then just do it an even lighter, sorry, an even more watered down version of the dark green, just to run around the outside and just give it like a little bit of a glowing effect. That's the plan. Got a couple of little lights on the side of this. I don't know what to call it. It's like a little box on his chest where he programs little data disk thingies, which I think he then puts into the robots that he walks around with. It's got like a little couple of buttons or something on the front over here, and I'm quite inclined to maybe leave them like that they would be switches or buttons. I could maybe do them black or Corvus grey or something, just so it breaks it up a little bit, but without adding too much detail. If I add lots of light colours and things, it might be a bit too much, make it look a bit too busy. So yeah, I might just do that in Corvus Black perhaps. Yeah, that's okay. That's looking nice. I don't want to do all of these lights green, so I might do a couple of others. If I have a look at my first model here, have I got any little lights and things on him? So I've got a little light thing up there which is green. The little scanners on the servo skull, they seem to be red. So green and red are definitely colours that I've gone with. I was really happy with this model when I first done it, but comparing to what I've got to now, I can definitely see an improvement arc, which is good to see. It's good to see. Okay, so just kind of green and red for the moment. All right, sweet. Might do like another yellow one or something. Because red, green, yellow, right? Traffic lights. Traffic lights on my soldiers of the future. Haven't got any others. No. All right. There's a little panel across the top here. I don't know really what to do with that either. All right. Yeah, okay. So let's pop him back down. I'm just going to see if I... See, this is a very delicate part now. That claw on his top is really quite small and really quite tight to get in there. And I'm wondering if this is the best... This is one of my smaller brushes, but I wonder if it's the best one to use. I might... Yeah, I'm going to need to use a little micro brush. Here we go. Let's use this one. Here we go. Now I can just come in from the side here without getting... he says without getting white paint all over the claw. It's the first thing I painted. So let's just get a clean brush and just wash that white off the side of that knuckle in there. It would be good for OSL, but I'm not good enough to do OSL. Oh, that's hard to say. OSL, object source lighting, just yet. I want to build up my lighting skills before I go into source lighting. What I mean by that is just, just practicing things like plasma glow and things. I don't think I should go into OSL before I really kind of, don't run before you can walk. Nice. Okay, cool. That's looking good. Just going to give those just a minute to dry, and then I can come in with some nice lighting effects. I want to get a little bit of Screaming Skull from Citadel, and I'm going to use this very, very lightly to just bring a little bit of highlight back to the parchment on the Purity Seal. But I do need to give that a good old mix because that has started to break down a little bit, and it needs a good old mix. Screaming Skull is one of my favourite Citadel colours. It works really well. It's drying on the inside, so it's starting to not shut very well. Okay, cool. Here we go. Let's put this on the Easy 8 Wazomatic. Just give that a good old mix. I've been told that the Wazomatic on the new microphone comes out really clear. Give that a good old mix. Now, I think that there are better ways of mixing paints, but this is certainly better than tarring out your wrist for 2 hours a night, just kind of shaking them away. It's too much. Even with a little agitator ball inside the bottle, it's just, yeah, it wasn't good enough. So I tried stirring them, and that got boring, and I had to clean everything that I was using the stir with. So I just picked up a little 35 quid nail varnish shaker. Works like the expensive looking Vortex shakers. There we go, and that should be good. Yeah, nice and creamy. Oh, flaky bits. Get rid of the flaky bits. Get there. Lovely, cool. So, what brush to use? just use this soft synthetic brush with a nice flat edge. It's nice and small, but nice and accurate at the same time. What I'm going to do is just get a little bit, that's probably far too much, get that on my palette. I'm just going to wipe the majority of it off. It's a quiet show tonight. I'm wondering if I've even pushed the right button. That would be embarrassing. Because it wouldn't be the first time that I've gone and done a show and I've not pushed the right button. I did know it was going to be a quiet show tonight. I got a lot of messages from the regular viewers saying that they got other arrangements to go and do. We got lives, man. We've got lives. It is fine. It is fine. Jeff, who normally comes and watches, has gone away for the weekend down to Cornwall to some sort of big pirate party. Apparently every year they have like some sort of big street party and hundreds of thousands of people come and they dress up like pirates and just drink. It's brilliant. In the streets. Fantastic. Here we go. If you can hear that, that is my belly rumbling. Sorry. Wow, I could hear that in my head. Now what? I don't want to get rid of that sort of staining colour totally. I just want to bring the parchment colour out. So what I do with my purity seals and other parchments like scrolls and things like that, is I paint them Screaming Skull or an off-white colour like a bone white. I just find Screaming Skull is a really nice colour and consistency. And then I wash it with Seraphim Sepia. And if I want to get like a really nice line, defining line between like these two sheets here, because that's like two ribbons, if you like, two ribbons of paper. Just the tiniest amount of Nuln oil with the newer recipe I found. Someone's just come into the live chat. Chris Delus can confirm here that you didn't push the wrong button. Just found your channel about a week ago. Well, thanks very much for coming along. It's really nice to see a new name in there. And welcome to the show. Thank you very much for speaking up and letting me know that I'm not here alone. And yeah, I hope you get a lot out of this show. It's really quiet this week. And if you watched a couple of other shows, you probably know that we are not normally this quiet. But it doesn't matter if it is quiet. It's something for you to watch back later if you want to. We've got quite a few viewers in the States. I'm a big supporter of John Takacs over at Out of This World Models and Minis. There's a link to his YouTube channel down in the description. Go and check him out. He's super cool. But obviously being in the States, those guys can't watch it live all the time. Although John does make efforts to do it. So, hi John, if you're watching this later on, or even now, nice to see you again. Nice to see you again? You're not even there. I'm talking like... Oh my goodness. That's ADHD for you. Nice to see you again. Do you know, it's really nice to know that when I mess up and get things wrong, that it's here on the internet for everyone to come and see. I apologise. Anyway, I did some parchment. It looks really nice. Really happy with that. Oh dear. Yeah, so Nuln oil. I used to hate Nuln oil, but the new recipe that they make is just really, really good. And I just put the tiniest, thinnest line between those two parchment sheets, and it really sort of defines them. I know that my webcams are a little bit out today, but yeah, it just shows them up. And in a minute, I'm going to use some black, or maybe some Corvus black, to just put some text in there. I will varnish it before I do that, because it just allows me that little bit of extra protection when if I make a mistake, which I often do with writing text or painting text. If I put like a layer of gloss varnish down, it's just easier to wipe it away and start again. So that's worth considering. But for myself anyway, and you guys might be able to do it really well. And don't need me to tell you what to do, because I'm not that good. Nice to see you again. What an idiot. Cool. Do a bit of a clean up properly later on, but okay. Here we go. So, I've got a couple of extra light bulbs on here. 1, 2, 3. And I've got the little light at the top up there. It takes a certain level of bravery to paint online for all to see. Yeah, it does. It took me a little while to adopt a certain amount of hubris. Because I always used to think that I was pretty good when I was a little bit younger. Not too far in the distant past. And out of all my friends, a lot of people would say that I was really good because I did a few sort of daring things here and there. But then everybody else who I painted with got better than me over a period of time. And they were at least on par with me. And they all had their own different styles as well. And I think that I just held on to old techniques that I'd learned and couldn't break away from. And a part of me starting the show was to push myself to learn a bit more and to try harder. And obviously by providing me with a weekly platform to do that, by having the show, I kind of make sure that I always have 2 hours a week to come and do it. And I really found, like I was saying earlier on, like the comparison between my first miniature in this range to this recent one I'm doing now, while on the surface they look quite similar, I can tell the difference in how I've come along. And I'm really enjoying myself. Like it's really good, and I don't. Now that I'm a little bit older as well, I don't mind admitting that I'm not that good. It's not about being good. It's about the journey, right? It's about learning and having fun, and just I'm so passionate about Warhammer and miniatures, and I've learned so much history from it as well. Who cares if you're good or not? All right, good's all up here. So it's a personal, objective thing. Have fun, paint miniatures, make some friends. That's what I think anyway. I got a little bit hippie as I got older. What can I say? Right, I'm gonna get my greens. The first green I'm gonna go with is, I think, a Scorpina green. No, I'm gonna go for a little bit of light livery green. I'm gonna give that a little bit of a shake. I'm just gonna put a little bit in here, start the white. I'm only gonna use the tiniest amount, doesn't matter if it mixes. And I'm just gonna add some medium to that using Lamia medium. I quite like the Citadel medium. And I'm going to water that right down so I get a good medium of this livery yellow. Livery livery. I suppose it is livery. So it goes quite transparent. It's about 50% transparent now. And what I'll do is I'll coat that as a nice layer over those little white dots, filtering the white into a nice bright tea. It's almost yellow. It's almost yellow. Let's get the little brush out again. Cool. Nice. Now the brightness of the white is showing through. Probably just going to make them all green lights. Should I do a different colour light? I don't know what colour light to do. Choices. What shall I do? I might do a blue one. I've got lots of blue on it anyway. Whatever, who cares? Keep it simple. Don't overthink it, right? Don't overthink it. Because I've added a certain amount of medium, it wants to run away a little bit, just a little bit. So, as it sort of runs all around and off of the white area, just kind of going back in, just touching it ever so gently, just to kind of redefine that yellowy colour. I quite like them being that sort of brightish yellow. In a minute I'm going to come in with a nice light green. I got a scorpion green I suppose. And I'll do the same again, but I'll be focusing sort of not the very top of the light, so that I kind of get this gradient of lighting effect. And then I'll do a slightly darker green, just do around the outside of it, and it should give a glow. Now I'm looking at the yellow that I've done in the headlight over here. That yellow is not the same yellow as this sort of greeny yellow that I've got here. So I must have used another yellow colour, but I just can't remember what it is. Maybe it was sun yellow. Let's have a look at that. Is it sun yellow? Nope. Certainly wasn't gold yellow. Maybe it was moon yellow. I'll try some moon yellow. That's another problem I find, is that I never remember what colours that I use. Who cares, right? Who cares? Definitely wasn't this colour, was it? Nope. Okay, cool. Enjoyment of the hobby is the best part. Painting, friends, chucking dice, whatever does it for you. there's something for everyone. I was blessed to have a few guys at my friendly local gaming store that helped pull me in. Yeah, that's really nice, man. And I find it really exciting as well to make friends. And I've made it through the show. Some local, some very distant. Obviously, over in the States is probably about as far away as you can get, roughly. Some friends in Australia who come on quite rarely, but it's still nice to see their names and whatever, you know. And I've met a few of them in person, which is great. Yeah, it's just fantastic. And some people that live locally to me invite me around to play games and stuff, which is just charming. It's just wonderful. And I think that when I was a bit younger, I might have been a bit more reluctant to do that or want to do that. I also probably felt some sort of subconscious elitism, like these are my friends and I'm going to play with these guys. And yeah, now it's like making friends because that's what it's about, right? T. So just a little bit of moon yellow, and I'm going to put that on the sort of the light in the claw. Tiny drop of that just there. That looks quite like the yellow that I used. I think I have chosen well. Again, a micro brush. Now, I'm not really all that fussed about this light up here. I've got it on the knuckle again. Because it's so out of the line of sight that I'm actually just doing it to appease the fact that I know it's there. And I can talk about it. And obviously you guys know it's there because you see it on the show. So I'm actually not going to do anything more to that light other than just drop that tiny little bit of yellow on it. I'm going to clean that yellow off the knuckle in there because that is awful. Let's drop that down. Lovely. Okay. So I've got a couple of other lights on the back. 1, 2, 3. Right, let's move on to a different green. So this green here is scorpion green, a scorpina. It's a nice colour. I really like working with greens. Greens, while not being my favourite colour, and you should have a favourite colour, they're just beautiful to work with. Got into working with greens when I started painting historical military vehicles with olive green. For like the Allies colour from World War II vehicles. Olive green is beautiful and it's so easy to get really stunning results from them, and I think that's just a quality that green has. So yeah, I love green. Grey is also a very nice colour. So again, I've just added some medium to that colour green, and I've made sure that it's a little bit more watery. I'm just going to add just the tiniest amount of water from my bristles into that mix of medium as well, just to break the surface tension down a little bit. Because I want it, if you imagine like a three-dimensional dome, obviously domes are three-dimensional, duh. I want the paint to cling to the top, and the more water that's in there will break that surface tension that the medium provides, and it will want to peel away from the top a little bit more. And then the more water that I add, it will kind of sit around the bottom, around that sort of the ring, if you like. Probably all a little bit much for just one tiny little dot the size of a pinhead, but you know, pursuing excellence, right? So here we go. I might want to add just a bit more paint to that. Fractionally, that's looking pretty good. And of course, what this is also going to do is where it sits on that part of the model, it's going to combine with the yellow that I've already put on there. Now I know you can barely see that because I haven't got my webcam zoomed in today. Apologies. I will take photos of my little mini at the end, like I always do. Post them up on Facebook so you can see them. But don't forget, you can post your minis up there as well. So if you are working on something this evening, please do take a photo of it and stick it on Facebook over at Easy8 on Facebook. So the link is down in the description. I love seeing all of your stuff on there. Now, you can't just go to my Facebook page and just put a photo on there. For some reason, Facebook has decided that that is not okay. So what you need to do is post your pictures to this week's schedule. So you'll see the link for this week's show, and you just go down into the comments and just post it in there. For some reason that works. I don't know why. You used to be able to put pictures to Facebook, but not anymore. Now I'm just coming in with wet bristles, but a clean brush, just to wipe the top of the dome of those lights clean so that the yellowy colour shows through a bit more. Yeah, they're looking nice and glowy green. Now if you have a look at the lamp on the top of him up here, I'm actually quite impressed with that light that I've done here. Coming in, there it is, we can just about see it. Yeah, my focus is all out to there. I'm really sorry about this. I rushed with excitement to get into the show. Come on. It's not going to do it. You can see basically that I got a really good light effect, like a good gradient of colour in there. And that's kind of what I'm achieving, but trying to achieve now at the very least, just on a much smaller scale. So the next colour to use here will be Goblin Green. Is it Goblin or is it Sick Green? It's Sick Green, not Goblin Green. Because this is quite a shade darker, and this one I just used to do at the very base of the lights. So just give that a tiny shake. Here we go. I'm just going to pop that in there as well. Just one tiny little drop. I don't need any more. And I'm just going to add water to that. I'm not going to add medium to it. Say medium creates a it maintains the surface tension of the paint, so it will hold more to raised surfaces. But I kind of want this to run a little bit freer. So just water will break the surface tension down. I can now add that with my tiny little micro brush just at the base of those lights, and it should just define them a little bit as well. And if I find that they're too small to really have that dark green giving them a defined edge, in my head I'm going to try it with black, although that might be a little bit much. Well, I'm going to be honest, that looks like it's working. News just in, it's working, but it's so small I think only I can see it. I don't think you'll be able to see that on there. I will take some photos, I say later on, so that you can see it. But it's nice when a plan comes together, to quote a childhood favourite programme. Now to make all this object source lighting, I know what I need to do. I've just not got the gall to do it yet. So basically that's a tiny little bit of overspray with some white ink, and then just put a tiny amount of the green in there, and it'll just kind of give that glow effect. But I'm not ready to take that leap yet. Just not ready, man. Cool, that's looking good. I like it, it's all going well. I think it might be time to pop a little bit of varnish just down here on this purity seal and get on with some text. And then a little bit later perhaps I'll have a go at doing some more on this coil and trying to get that right. I'm determined to get my lighting effects right, or glowy effects. Let's call them glowing effects. Another sip of tea perhaps. I can put my moon yellow away. Right. Gloss varnish. Don't need to give that a shake because it's got no pigment in it. Sometimes it just feels nice to shake them. Oh, probably a little bit too much there. There we go. And I'm going to use my nice brush. I want to give it a nice, good, solid coating. I'm going to hit the whole thing later on with matte varnish, so the fact that this is shiny now doesn't matter a tiny bit. So, yeah. Just going to make sure that, because it wants to pool, it is quite thick. If I left it like that, it would dry, thick, and lose the detail, and I don't want that. Just going to make sure that I just give a good spreading out there. Thin it down a little bit. I could even add some water if I wanted to thin it down. Excuse me. Oh, like a crumb or something in the back of my throat. That was not very nice. So, a damp brush now, just with water. Where it's sort of pooling. Just going to draw that out a little bit, feather that away so that it doesn't dry thick and difficult. I really like him, coming together so well. I could do with probably highlighting this little hose a little bit more. I might try that in a little bit. I can remember what colour I used to highlight the hoses with. Just going to blow on him in a minute. It seems to be getting the hairdryer out right. Cool. Come in with a little bit more gloss. The gloss will make it smoother, which will make it easier to apply the text to it as well. If you're doing weathering techniques and things like that as well, gloss is a really good varnish or medium to use, because it just basically, on a microscopic level, it just sort of fills out the topography of the flat surface that you've got, because it's just thicker, creates more shine. And that just means that if you're doing things like washes or pin washes or anything like that, especially on vehicles, that it's the medium of choice. Okay, I'm going to leave him like that for a minute. Just let him sort of just dry. Shall I do those little buttons black? Do you know what I'm going to do them? I'm just going to do it. Where's my Corvus black? Here it is. I'm absolutely sold on Corvus black as well. It's a fantastic colour. I think I might do this little panel here, like a brassy colour. Again, just to break it up, but just to stop it from like blending in with everything else, being gold or silver. Just adds another dimension to it. So I've got some brassy, bronzy colours up here. Let's use. I want to use bronze or brass. Or I want to use bronze. I think. Let's have a go with that. Let's do it. Let's see what difference it makes. Got any colour coming out? It's a bit thick, this paint. Make sure I give that a really good shake. That sounds better. Perhaps I'll put it on the Wazomatic. Here we go. Gotta give it a good old mix up. These paints very rarely get any use from me. I'm not really keen on metallics, but I do prefer the appearance over non-metallic metals. Non-metal metallics. You know what I mean. Oh, it's going to do that thing where I give it a really good squeeze and it fires out everywhere, and I just don't want that to happen. I mean, who does, right? Let's move my miniature away and my paintbrush. Just protect everything. There we go. And I've got this spike, and I'm just going to put it down here because it's basically blocked. Just be nice. There it goes. It's running away. That's what it needed. I'm not going to pour that onto the palette. I'm just going to take it from the top of the bowl there, because I'm only going to use a tiny, tiny amount. Let's see what colour that does. Let's see what it looks like. That's nice. To be fair, like I thought it might do, it just kind of blends away a little bit into the rest of the gold colours, but it is a little bit different. And I know that I've used a different colour, so there's that to it as well, right? Yeah, it's nice. I might, on some of the bigger models, like some of the walkers and things, I might try using this bronze colour, rather than the golds, and it just might be a nicer effect, you know? Worth trying to mix things up a little bit. You say that, yeah, I have a Necron army. Metallics have saved my sanity. Yeah, like metallic. I like things looking metal. I've got some Necrons over here actually, which I'll show you because you've probably not seen them if you're quite new to the show. So a friend of mine, someone who I made friends with through the show, actually sent me these Necrons. I've got quite a few of them, and I tried some new Vallejo paints. So it requires a surface primer. A special surface primer. Basically it's gloss black, because the gloss really helps the shine of the metallic. Black is the more appropriate colour to use, and I use the metal colours here. This one is steel, so it's like a darker metal, only slightly darker, not that much darker, and it is very metallic. Basically, from what I can gather, it's the state of the particles in them that make them metallic, the glitter, if you like. With normal metallics, like in Vallejo or in Citadel, I find that those glittery chunks just seem to be too big and they just look cheap, is the only way that I can describe it. I like my metallics, don't get me wrong, but when I'm putting it on my model, it just feels cheap. I think these basically have finer particles in there. That's the only thing I can really kind of think of. The fact that they have, it's a nice quality paint as well. And you've got the different colours. So I started painting it onto Necrons. Have I still got them here? Here we are. So they're actually in one big pile. So I've got, yeah, here he is. Now I didn't just leave these in that dark metallic colour. I actually did grime effects over them, and I went too far with it. I was just experimenting. I was just playing around with it. But the effect that I got from that metallic was superb, absolutely superb. So I started trying them on my Adeptus Mechanicus, and it was too much. So for example, let's see if I got some here that I can compare and show you. Here is one of my original Skitari miniatures, where I've just used normal Vallejo silver, and I've stained it or washed it with a 50-50 mix of water and the contrast colour Basilicanum Grey, and that's really good. It actually tones down the cheapness of the silver and makes them look quite realistic, but I wanted a silver that kind of popped and shone. And if you excuse the quality of his rifle on here, because it's still a work in progress, you can see the difference on this guy. Look at there. I wonder if the camera really picks it up. Can you see the difference between the two silvers? This is the Vallejo True Metal colour, or the new metal colour, and this is the Vallejo Standard Silver. And while I really like this colour, it has its place, and it's not on a small miniature. This is much nicer. It's softer. It's not so harsh on the eyes. So I'm going to stay with this silver for smaller miniatures. But if you're doing a whole army of glistening robots that look like something out of Terminator, mixed in with nightmares for your Necrons, then that's probably another direction to go. I just went over the top with the griming effects. I liked it. It still came out really well. Here's a death mark, for example. But you've lost the silver. They look more brassy. While that's nice, it's too much. I went a bit bananas. Anyway, yeah, there you go. Silvers. Cool. So yeah, I love Skitari. I think they're wonderful. Me and my friend were talking years ago. I just want to have a Skitari army. I don't care for all the other stuff. But actually, the more I got into Adeptus Mechanicus, I like all of the stuff really. But I do prefer the more Skitari units than sort of the Electro Priests and things like that. While they're still fun, it's all about the Skitari units. I love the steampunk nature. I love that sort of Wellesian or Vernian feel to them. Yeah, cool. He's looking sharp. Thank you very much. That's really kind. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Just waiting for that gloss to dry. It looks like it has dried. You can tell the difference. I have steel and aluminium from Vallejo's range. Their look is so much better in my opinion. You can get some good mixes with them too. What do you mean by mixes? Do you mix the colours together, or do you add different mediums together to kind of get different results on them? That's an interesting point. Yeah, I suppose if you're mixing the colours, you could get some nice transitions as well. I did it all with airbrush. They are designed for airbrush. I've tried it. I've tested between the difference between brush strokes and airbrush, and airbrush is way better because they are formulated for the airbrush. Just not using it tonight. That's all. Cool. What time are we at? 10:02. Brilliant. We'll go for a break in a few minutes, but now let's just watch me mess the text up. So, I've always used pure black to do my text. It pops, but recently I'm on a bit of a fixation with Corvus Black because it's just slightly duller. It's really good for lowering the contrast of your black because black really just pops straight out. However, I don't think it's going to be the right thing to do on here. I want the text to stand out. This, because it's so small, I think that kind of stops it from standing out so much, if that makes sense. So I think I'm going to stay with black, but let me know your thoughts. I add inks to make coloured metallics. What a wonderful idea. That's really cool. I only use one ink. I've only just started getting into them. Liquitex white acrylic. Wow, that really flared up on my screen. I use this for trying to get the best out of my lighting effects, or my glowy effects. Yum yum. Right, some black. Here we go. Just give that a nice old shake up there. Just a tiny amount, he says as he fires in a whole load. And I'm going to just a tiny amount of water just to break it down a little bit, which should help it flow. That's too much water. Nice, well done. Such a special sauce. Okay, there we go. That's nice. That's nice. Now, normally I like to use my not my Winsor Newton, my Kolinsky brushes. But I think I'm going to stay with this pointy little effort here. Got a really, really tiny point on it. It might just be perfect for doing text. Now, because I've added a bit of water to the black, it should be even easier to wipe off if I don't like it. So I'm not going to try and be brave and do those things that I've seen some people do where they actually do the Aquila. Let's get some more practice in before I start doing that sort of stuff. All I'm doing is just squiggly little lines. That's literally it. I'm just trying to make it look like that there's something written on them. How cool would it be though if you could actually write something on there? That would be great. It's been so long since I've done a purity seal. The only problem with using a tiny little brush like this is it really doesn't have much of a belly to hold that much paint, so you have to keep on going back to the palette. Oh yeah, I messed that up. So what I do now, let's just wash my brush out, clean it out, go in with a slightly damp set of bristles, and then because of the glossy varnish on there, should just be able to wipe it away. It says. I do have some little silicone sculpting brushes here, which should be able to. Yep, there we go. Nice. Saved. Okay, cool. There we go. I'm calling it. I'm calling it. Right. Do you know what? Let's come away from here for a second. Where is my screen? Here we go. Cool. So, still trying to get used to the buttons over here. It'll become second nature soon, I'm sure. So yeah, I'm just going to let that dry a little bit. I'm going to have a last little check over, make sure I'm happy with all the little details on there, which I am. I am pretty happy with him. It's just this coil on the back that I just need to practice my light glows a little bit more. So we're going to go after the break. I'm going to probably give him a bit of a matte varnish, or I might just leave that till later on. But I'm certainly going to crack on with his base. Just put some details down on there, put some little rocks, maybe a little bit of texture, and then varnish him to complete, and I'll be happy with that. It just goes to show you though, doesn't it, like how, even though I had such a tiny amount of stuff to do, that we're an hour into the show. I know I've yapped for a little bit, but you know, it takes up a lot of time just to kind of finish these little projects, which is why it takes me ages to actually finish even a single miniature. Anyway, we're going to go for a quick break. We'll be back in 10, so if you need to go stretch your legs or refocus your eyes, now's the time to do it. But whatever it is that you're doing, go and change your paint water, and I'll see you in a minute. Bye-bye. Welcome back. I didn't really go and do anything during the intermission there. I just was practicing on his base. I say practicing on his base, just trying to get some of the texture paints that I like to use, knowing that they take a long time to dry. And that's been one of the things that set me back from finishing miniatures in the past, is that we're like the cracked earth style paints and the texture paints. They just take a little bit longer. So I've got them on now during the intermission, and hopefully over the next sort of half an hour to an hour, they'll really come out. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take you straight back over to the workbench just to kind of show you, I'll just show you what I'm doing as I do it. So here we go, straight over to the workbench. Made it, here we go. So I put on some cracked earth on there already. Now my cracked earth comes, or the crackle paint, comes from Green Stuff World. These guys do several different colours. So I use Badlands Grey for my Tyranids. Oh, excuse me, I've got the hiccups. And I use Martian Earth for my Martians. However, my Martians, they are not Mars Martians, they are Riser Martians. So I prefer a slightly orangier colour. I affect that with like washes and pigments and things later on. But actually, the colour is quite orangey anyway, so it's a little bit more orangey than it is red. I really like it, it's really good. What I do find with these is it's cheaper than the Citadel stuff. You get so much more than you do. Let's get the Citadel one here to compare. You get so much more than you do with Citadel for a cheaper price. However, this stuff is good quality, so there's no taking that away from Citadel. They do make, as far as I'm concerned, one of the better crackle paint qualities out there. This stuff, you have to use a lot more of it to get the better quality cracks. Over the years of using it, I've got better with it. So, you know, there's a balance there. What do you want? Do you want instant quality, or do you want just more quantity? The quality isn't that much different, but Citadel have got it down. Anyway, what I'm using here is some Grelin Badlands. This is basically just sand in paint, I suppose. But the colour is completely off for what I like. So, yeah, I do paint it later on. I don't need a lot here. I'm not looking for massive scoopy textures. I just want some sandy looking. Basically, I just don't want it to be a flat plastic base. I want some lumps and bumps with a little bit of texture in it, so I can pick it out with some dry brushes or highlights later on. One of the things that I really want to be able to do is to get really good at painting floor. So just like painting like soil or dirt or dust or whatever it is. And lately, like just trawling through pictures online and on the various groups on Facebook that I'm a member of, I've just seen some really wonderful and inspiring things out there, and I'm just like, how have these guys painted dirty ground so well? What is it that they're doing? How are they doing grit? It's just colour choice more than anything that I think I'm picking up on, and I think it's about contrast. I think that's what I'm seeing, is a good amount of minor detail, so like fine detail, so things like sand or dirt or whatever, rather than big bricks and rocks and things, and then really dark contrasting recesses, or like, you know, basically a black wash over it, and then bright highlights of dry brushing, and very little middle ground on that, but also colour choice is really quite appropriate as well. It's really hard to explain what it is that I mean. Basically, I'm on a journey and it's painting floor. So I want to get it right, because there's obviously an image in my head, and like I've said in the past, I struggle quite a lot of the time with making the image in my mind's eye transfer onto the model. And I suppose really that is the whole painting thing, isn't it? That is what we are doing as artists. But I've got an image and I want to show it, and it's difficult. That's basically where I'm going with this. So this little mini, he was put together before I painted him wholly, because he was given to me along with a load of other Adeptus Mechanicus miniatures by a friend who had a stash and they didn't want it anymore and was very kindly donated to me. Thanks, Dave. You know who you are. And it was already put together, so I didn't have the choice of, you know, doing sub-assemblies or anything like that. That's fine. It was free. Who am I to complain at something like that? But it has meant that, like, trying to get paint into certain areas or these textures, like in and around that cloak, has been troublesome. So I'm just trying to push this paint now into or underneath the cloak here, and just far enough in the gap in the, well, I suppose the leg split of his robes, so that you can see it in there a little bit. Obviously, I don't need it to go all the way, because if you're looking that close, you're going to see all the full flaws on it, and I don't really mind about that. But just trying to make sure that I go around, yeah, the feet here. I've got a little bit on the feet, and I do want to try and reduce that as much as possible. There is something to be said about, you know, weathering your miniatures, making it look like they're covered in soil and whatever. But I want these guys more dusty than caked in mud. Rather than having like wet soil like you can do with this stuff, I want it to just look like it's textured floor and they're getting dusty. Even though these guys are from Riser, which isn't Mars, in my mind, Riser is an orange version of Mars. So therefore it's dusty and not at all wet. And you can see that I've basically just done half and half. I've been quite lazy with how I've done that, but that's okay. I don't mind. I can do lazy. But soft transitions between the two textures. So watered down brush, not soaking, and just feather in the two paints to each other, and it just stops them looking so harsh, and they kind of meet in the middle. A sort of blend, if you like. Get that off the side of his shoe. Lovely, wonderful. Now I can see what's going to happen. I'm going to get all these textures on this evening, and they'll dry, but I won't be able to paint them until like tomorrow or something. That's almost likely, definitely the case. So rather than being able to finish this miniature completely tonight on the show, which I should have done 3 weeks ago, he'll be finished over the next few days, and I'll take a picture of it and I'll show him on Facebook. So if you're not already following us on Facebook, go and follow us on Facebook so you can be updated with all my progress, and I can share my victories with you. You can share your victories with me, and we can have a little victory party. Wouldn't that be lovely? Already I can see that the crackle paint is starting to dry, which is good. Looking for a good couple of crackles on there. I would like to have some rocks. I don't have very many rocks. I do have some cork stuff here. Here we go, here's some cork bits. So I'm probably just going to throw down a few bits and pieces of this. This is just some rubbishy bits of cork that I have, you know, lying around, and they actually come from like a sheet. I think even part of it was a coaster. So some of the rocks don't look very good rock-like. They are actually, you can see that they have very flat surfaces on two sides where there was a thickness to a larger sheet, if that makes sense. So sometimes if I use these pieces, I just kind of trim them down and cut them. But I don't really want much like that. In fact, I think I can see a nice piece there to use. I only want 1 or 2 of those. That one would be quite good. And I'm literally just cherry picking. I might get some tweezers here. That one there looks pretty good as well. Those are some nice ones. That might even be too many. And I'm also going to use an amount of the dusty, flakier bits in there, but not too much. Just a few bits. And what I'll do is I'll just put some glue down when the paint has dried, and I'll just kind of sprinkle that over there, and it'll just give, you know what it's going to look like. It's just going to look like some bigger bits of debris or whatever. Yeah. So I've just kind of selected those, and I'm just going to put them in a little dish just off to the side so that they're ready basically to go. But I want to wait for the paints to dry before I start gluing them down. And I'm literally going to use cheap, rubbishy PVA glue because it will dry really quickly. It holds really well. It's really good for holding paper, wood, and cork and stuff like that. So it's just a perfect choice, really. And then I can paint them. So they can just go over there and wait. Nice. You can see that I've got like a little bit of paint and stuff on the edges over here. I've wiped it all down, but it has left a little bit of residue. But I'm going to paint another layer of that black colour over later on anyway. We're pretty much ready for a layer of varnish on him. But naturally I want to wait for the paints to dry, the crackle paints and things. So the last thing I'm really going to do here before I kind of just have to put him down and wait for a little bit is the highlights that I wanted to do on his robes. So I can use a couple of different colours here. I've got two oranges. I've got hot orange and I've got orange fire. Hot orange is the colour that I use on their robes generally as a base colour. This is a much brighter colour. I'm going to start with this one because it might be that this is way too bright and really stark contrast against the other one that I've used. So if I just get this one here, and I'm just literally going to do just bring out a few of the upper edges of creases on his robes. This is the first time that I've done any kind of edge highlighting on these guys. I wanted to keep that to a minimum, but it's just nice to bring a few of those tiny little details out. And for this I'm just going to use my number 0 Kolinsky. I use airbrush paints, so they're really thin and watery. That's kind of what I want here. I don't want it to be too thick. I want this to be a subtle effect, at least in my head. That's what I kind of got the idea of here. And I know for a fact that these paints are really transparent. It takes so many layers to get opaqueness out of it. So yeah, we'll see, I suppose, how good this is. Because I've used a wash over all of the orange to dull it down, make it look grimy, give it some sort of sense of depth. It might just be that this is enough orange to show out, but actually it doesn't look like it. That's fine, that's okay. It doesn't need to be massive and in your face. I just want to bring the edges out a little. Might be that I have to go and use the other orange. Just on a few of the more subtle folds and creases, and I think that this colour is actually working quite well for that because it just tones down the staining colours that I've got. I think on some of those more defined creases, maybe I'll try a little bit of the other orange. This is quite that bit brighter. This might be too much, but I might use this as a base. Put this down, it stands out too much, put the other orange on it, dulls it down. I am literally just experimenting by the seat of my pants here. I just thought it would be nice to bring some of the edges out a little bit on some of his robes. fact, being airbrush paint is actually working against me here. They're almost too thin. I do have a non-airbrush paint of the darker orange. It actually has a much different sort of texture to it, and it comes out quite glossy, which of course I can always dull down with matte varnish. The texture is different. Might give that a go. I think I will. Working for me there. Here we go. So basically game air and game colour. Same colours, formulated for airbrush, and you can use it by brush, formulated for just brush. But there is a difference in them just because of the way that they are used. Much more opaque. Hot orange. You go over there, mate. You can see in my palette just here, this little bit here where there's black underneath it, and the airbrush paint over the top, and then this very stark colour right beside it is the opaque version of that colour. So I'm just gonna put a small amount of it in my brush, so it doesn't go on too strikingly. Just pick out some of those creases. There we go. Okay, that's working. I'm just actually going straight into the neat pile of it, and just the very, very tip of the brush here, and then just very, very gently, like a fine tip marker, just picking out the edge. My concentration voice. It's stopped yapping so much now. Wasn't getting the brightness that I was expecting through, but it has just defined a few of those edges down there a little bit more, which is quite nice. I think maybe dry brushing might have been more appropriate, but I'll do that on the next miniature. There's no point in doing it now because we're almost finished on this guy, and who cares, right? There we are. We're done. Wonderful. Let's leave him there. I'm actually just going to turn the airbrush on. I'm going to need it for some varnish and stuff later on, but I also wanted to use some compressed air, blow dry basically the crackle paint, the texture paints that are on there to help speed up the drying process. Just get my paints put away here, but tidy desk, tidy mind. Knocking the webcam there, soz. So yeah, here we go. It's looking pretty good. Fun. Nice to see it all coming together. I've actually had that model completely unpainted on the side, waiting to go ever since I got them. It's been a miniature that I just find was quite interesting in its design, in its sculpt, in its appearance, and it's nice to see him, well, virtually finished. Just need that terrain. You can see here that the terrain needs to be a little bit darker. So yeah, looking forward to that. Anyway, let's come away from here a minute. I want to take you back to me, because I want to talk to you about Salute and the loot that I got at Salute. I had a great time down there. I didn't just make purchases, I made friends as well while I was there. There were so many traders, so many stores, people who I've been following online for years. I actually got to meet them, talk to them, and that was great. And while I say and maintain that I'm not starstruck, it was just a great opportunity to thank them for the wonderful products that they make. And to say keep it up, and that I just, you know, I'm a massive fan of the work that they do, and yeah, it was just nice to talk to people. It was worth going for just that. I met Matt and the team from the Pit Gaming Shop. Hi guys, hope you're watching. Hope you're well. And it was lovely to meet you guys again. I met these guys down at Plymouth at the Plymouth Amateur War Game Society, which is what we call PAWS. And I got chatting to Matt, who was just super enthusiastic and super lively, really passionate about the hobby, and the Pit Gaming Shop supply products through Animalia.com. Basically, they make terrain tiles, terrain boards, all laser cut, really high quality laser cut stuff. Here is one that I made a little while ago. This is just a river section, so you can see that it's raised up. It all interlocks on the sides with little combs, etc. And this one has a river. I bought these to go for my 15mm Second World War games, so things like Water Tanker, Flames of War, etc. I've got to build the terrain on them. I've got a lot of boards to build. So when I saw Matt and the team at Salute, I bought a whole pack, like nearly 70 quid's worth, of just standard flat terrain. So they don't have this river feature on them. They're designed to match right up against them, come up to the same level as the ground, and I've got 9 of those tiles, so in total I could make a foot square. I could make a 3 foot by 3 foot gaming table. Add that with the 4 sections of river that I've got, and I've nearly got options for a 4 foot gaming table. And it's going to be really fun, and I'm going to do a feature on them sometime in the future, hopefully not too far away, but you know, I'm a bit chaotic anyway, of showing you how to build this up. I really like this. You could just paint this if you wanted to. You could add felt and things onto it. I'm going to do static grass and explore that. I've got a machine that I've had for years. I know how to do static grass, and this will be the first big feature that I've done with that, and I'm looking forward to doing that on the show, on a different type of show, not here on the Painting Club. So yeah, that's going to be fun. However, for 15mm war games, because tanks in that scale are really small, these are almost designed for 28, well, they are designed really in mind for 28mm games, which is fine. It just means that I've got to reduce the scale of the rivers down. I could leave it, but 15mm bridges, which I want to use on the rivers, don't really span this distance very well. That's fine. I'm going to play around with sculptings and kind of reduce the sizes of the rivers anyway. On bridges, thanks Matt and the Pit Gaming Shop. You guys are wonderful. We've got a really nice semi-professional relationship built up over a couple of meetings and just buying products from you. Thank you very much for your generosity. I honestly couldn't recommend the Pit Gaming Store anymore. There's a link to them down there. Just go and check them out, share them some love. They've got a little YouTube channel as well where they talk about some of their products, but they are a game store based somewhere in London. Can't quite remember where it is now, Hertfordshire somewhere. Don't even know if that's London now, I'm saying it out loud. But you should go check them out because they're really good, and I'm hoping to meet them in Exeter. More on that in a minute. On bridges, I didn't include a link to this upcoming one, and I apologise for that. Anthony, hi, nice to meet you at Salute. I will adapt this video and future videos and include your link to your business in there. But Debris of War with Anthony, a fantastic gaming terrain supplier. Just masses and masses of resin cast miniature terrain. in so many scales, and basically the same stuff in different scales. So I wanted some 15mm bridges for the European Theatre of War for World War II games, and I got a double arch bridge and I got a single arch bridge. Now here's an interesting fact: he does them in 28mm and 15mm. My dad Jeff, who normally graces us with his presence in the live chat, who owns and runs Purple Lion Creations, which is a bespoke terrain making company, sought after all over the world. I'm very proud of my dad. He does such a wonderful job. He's not online tonight and has made his apologies for that, but he made the 28mm master sculpts for Anthony at Debris of War for the larger scale bridges. These were designed by someone, so unfortunately I can't remember the name. I will find this out and bring this up later on and include it into the description of this video. But these were made to copy the styles of the two bridges that Jeff, my dad, made for the 28mm one. So these aren't sculpted by Jeff at Purple Lion. These are sculpted by someone else who I will find the name up for. These are just wonderfully detailed, very affordable terrain, high quality. They even have stonework underneath in the arches there as well, which is absolutely brilliant. And these will fit 15mm tanks absolutely wonderfully. Look at that, aren't they cute? They are really, really brilliant. Bridges in war games bring such a dimension to your gaming. Darren's joined us. Hi Darren, thanks very much for coming along. We've got a little bit of variety in the live chat tonight where it's quite quiet. Yeah, bridges offer such a different level, a totally different plane for you to think on when playing your war games, because rivers often are impassable or difficult to pass, and bridges are that way across, obviously. So to take and hold and fight over them is a fantastic feature for any war game. Now, when I was measuring these, the widths of these river tiles, obviously I had to think about river span. So I knew before I bought them, because Anthony at Debris of War put the measurements up, that this river here fits neatly in the middle of the river, and doesn't. Obviously, you need the arches to cover over the river. Does that make sense? This needs to contact on both sides. So I've got a little one here just so I can have it, and I got the double arch one to be longer. Now, as you can see, I'm going to need to probably bring the edges of the riverbank in a bit more, and obviously build up some mass underneath the arches. There's a little bit of work there to do, but it's going to be fun doing that. But I've got some options now, and I was thinking about the storage, maybe having these kind of slot into a part of the sculpt, have magnets in there as well, so that I can take them out and store them a little bit easier. But I've got a lot of work to do. I've got lots of these things. There was a mistake with these when I first ordered these ones. The managing director of the company, Anna Malia, had packed up a load of them wrong. So when I bought the rivers and I got them home from the Pit Gaming store, they were actually cliffs and slopes. So I've got some of those that were given to me free gratis. These were the replacements for it. Thank you so much, guys. And I've also got some just normal flat tiles as well. The idea is that I can interchange terrain as time goes on, and that's really easy to store, is that you could have a shelf with just loads of them all kind of stacked up. So yeah, that's fun. So I bought that from the Pit Gaming shop, or Pit Gaming store. I got these bridges from Debris of War. Go and check them out. Like, you have never seen a stand, like a store, trader store like it before. It's just got like so many curio cabinets with so many interestingly and really well painted display pieces. I could just stand there for hours, and I did stand there for hours looking at it all, taking it all in. It's a sight to behold, and he's got everything. He's got tents, bridges, oil drums. Man, go and have a look. Debris of War, you won't be disappointed, and they were really affordable, absolutely fantastic. So yeah, those are the main things that I bought when I was there. I can't remember where I picked this one up from. www.scenics.com. It was just one of those little stores that I walked past. I was like, ooh, and I went back and I found some lichen. I wanted some red lichen to go with my Tyranids, because as you know, with my Tyranids, I like to emulate my favourite book, which is The War of the Worlds, with the red weed. And I've been sculpting bits of red weed, making little vines out of like the sculpting putty. But I found some absolutely fantastic texture lichen. That was just a couple of quid, so I picked that up as well. So that was my haul from Salute 50. It was a wonderful experience. Some other people that I met were the team at Uncertain Scenery. There's a link to them down there as well. Go and check those out. The people who I travelled up with were the community at Easy 8. We stood there talking to them for ages, and Kez, who we met up there, was normally in the live chat here. Basically took their number, had a chat with them. They had a special offer whilst that salute for the weekend, lasting up till Monday just gone, of 35% off of an order. So Kez made a £600 order for terrain boards through them. Different terrain boards than what I've got down here for the Battletech game that she plays. Although you could play anything on them if you wanted to. Are highly detailed streets with sections that go underneath. It's just really cool, and with that 35% off, brought the total down to just over £400. So it was a massive discount. The quality of the terrain that those guys build and design is fabulous, and you should definitely go and check them out. I also put a little order in as well for 28mm scenery. They do lots of different scales, so I bought like a radar station that I've been looking at for years and just haven't been and bought it, and a few other bits and pieces. And when they come through, I'm going to do a whole feature on them, make them, paint them for 40k, because I wanted some stuff like that as well, because I haven't played enough of that lately, and I wanted some cool looking terrain. In short, we had a wonderful time away. You absolutely need to go and share the, have a look at these guys, show them some love, peruse through their websites, spread the word of them, and buy some stuff from them, because it's fantastic. And if you do, mention Easy8 as well, because I spoke to them for ages. I look forward in the future, when we breach the 100 subscriber mark, to maybe do a big feature with uncertain terrain. Uncertain scenery, sorry. They even spoke very enthusiastically about coming across the country, because they're based in Stoke-on-Trent. I'm down here in North Devon. They were actually considering driving all the way down here, making a weekend out of it, setting everything up. I'd set up a pseudo studio, and I would talk to them, interview them, and share that experience with you, the subscribers, following Easy8, and they were absolutely stoked for that. Now, they've already had massive interviews with people like Beasts of War, etc. These guys know the big cats already. They are big players. So to have that enthusiasm with a small and humble show of 88 subscribers with me was just fabulous. It was really courteous. It was really kind. And I can say that about all of the people who, that I met and talked. I had a fabulous time there. I got to really have a really nice chat with Anthony at Debris of War. I chatted for ages with the guys at the Pit Gaming Shop, Pit Gaming Store, beg your pardon, and of course the guys at Uncertain Scenery. They really stood out to me as the hallmarks of quality and passion at the whole event, but there wasn't a single thing there that wasn't cool. It was great, and I hope that you get to see lots of photos coming up. I didn't take that many because I was like a rabbit in the headlights. It was huge. It took up 2 entire event halls, and these event halls are the size of aircraft hangars. It was immense. There was so much space and so many people. We actually had loads of room to walk around in, and they had a third hangar just for the queue to get in. Man, it was incredible. I loved it. It was great, and it was worth the meager £12 getting in. Anyway, if you want to join Easy8 on a future road trip, we are going again very, very soon to a more local one to me. I know that there's actually quite a few local people to me in the community. Not all of them are, obviously, they're across the world. But we're going to be going to the Exeter show on the 13th of May. So literally just a couple of weeks away. It's much, much smaller. It's very, very humble. But you get loads of traders there. I went with Jeff last year, my dad. And it was still great. It was just a nice one to go away. For me, it's just an hour-and-a-half trip. But I highly recommend it. There are some top quality traders there. The guys who I've just mentioned will be there. I don't think Uncertain Scenery are going to be there, but the Pit Gaming Store are going to be there. Anthony from Debris of War is going to be there. K&M Trees. It's really cool to go and see. And they've got a little canteen on the side as well, so you can go and get some lunch there as well. If you're genuinely interested in wanting to go to that, meeting the Easy8 community, there are a few of us that are planning on going. Stay in touch, ask me any questions you want to through the usual channels, comment section, live chat, Facebook. You can find me, you know how to do it, and I read everything, so drop us a line if you want to go, because it'll be cool to meet even more of you. So that's coming up in just a few weeks. That's the 13th of May, the Saturday. My airbrush compressor is going mental on the side here. So what I'm going to do, just before I go back over to the workbench, is say, hey, please do share and subscribe the name of Easy8, because it really does help the community grow. And like I say, if we get to 100 plus subscribers, that will just push me over into all sorts of apocalyptic styles of big-headedness, but it might also change the algorithm as well and make Easy8 even more cool and bigger, and that's what we want, right? Anyway, there we go. Let's head over to the workbench quickly. Wow, I spoke so much. I'm just going to grab a sip of tea. Bear with me. Yum. Wow. I'm excited. Man, it was such a wonderful experience. Anyway, here's the data smith that I've been painting. You can see the crackle paint starting to crackle, getting some good textures and things on there now. I've just pumped up the airbrush, like I said, just to get a bit of air. What I want to do is basically, I'm just going to move all my cork debris over here out of the way. It's just going to blow on it just to help dry the paint out. It goes on so thick. It has to go on thick because how crackle paint really works. But it takes ages to dry. And I knew I wasn't going to finish this today because of this. But I just kind of want to speed it up a little bit. Otherwise, it's going to be tomorrow morning by the time it's dry. And I can see it drying now before my eyes. I can see those cracks coming out. It's looking really good. If only I had my webcam here zoomed in and dialed in so that you could see it as well. I'm really sorry for the poor quality this evening. I was just so excited. Even at the beginning, I didn't even have the right screen set up. I was just like, I'd go, because it's been a couple of weeks since I've been online. But if you are new, if you are watching now, it's not always this rubbish. I'm not always wearing my merchandise. I'm just breaking it in. It came just earlier on today. Oh, I just blew a big chunk of it off. A crackle flew across the room. That's okay, that's fine. Doesn't matter if a couple disappear. I might add some more crackle paint on top of it later on to exacerbate the cracks that are on there. I've sometimes found if you put crackle down, let it dry, you get the smaller undesirable cracks, put another layer on top and it makes bigger cracks. So you can do it in layers as well. Okay, that looks like it's drying pretty well. Let's just do the texture paint as well. Just means it's a little bit easier to handle as well, because I haven't got the little paint stand on it either. I missed this last week, you know, sitting here in the studio painting, talking away like there's a million people watching. Some of the advice you find when you're first starting up doing a live stream or any kind of YouTube show like that, really, there's a lot of advice that always recommends or advises you to talk as if like there's no one there, but I like to talk like there's a million people there. It's because I'm stupid. Okay, cool. Do you know what, compressor? Shut up. Right, here we go. So yeah, got a nice bit of texture paint on the side there for just like some ruggedy earth bits. I'm going to put some rocks and dusty bits and stuff on there. Might add a bit more sort of texture to it later perhaps. And then I've got some cracked earth on the other side just to mix it up a little bit. I actually lost a chunk, so when all the cracks started appearing, there's a chunk that was here and that disappeared, but that's okay, makes it look natural. You know, and I might put some rocks and things just kind of scattered around it. And then I'll paint it all up so it matches the colours properly. What I like to do is water down this colour, this orangey colour here, so it doesn't have a crackle effect. I just kind of cover the whole surface, and then all the ground looks the same. By watering it down, it prevents it from crackling, which is kind of cool. Yeah. Nice. Happy with it. Happy. I'd love to know your thoughts on it. Let me just get tidy up my workbench. Put that over there. Lovely. Cool. Right. So, where are we? Where am I at right now? Could do with putting a bit of varnish over him, but I'm going to let the paints dry before I varnish him, because I know that he needs to just rest a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just move all this out of the way, move that over there. There we go. Slide that out of the shot. Get rid of this guy out of the way as well. And you can just go and wait over here, because in the next 24 to 48 hours I will finish that miniature, and I will put a picture of him up on Facebook. So go and follow me on Facebook so that you can see what he turns out to be like. That means that I'm not going to have a miniature the following week, so I need to choose a new one. Now, I've got loads of 15mm tanks that I like to paint. I like to break up the show a little bit by having different things each time. But like I said, I'm 41 this year, out currently. Going to be 42 at the end of the year. I'm a big fan of Warhammer. 40,000. So it's the 41st millennium. I want to focus a bit more on doing more Warhammer stuff. I've had an absolute blast painting that guy, so I want to do more Mechanica stuff. Now, he goes along with these guys. This is my robot that I painted a little while ago. I'm really happy with it. I can certainly do better. He's very weathered. He looks really cool. I went a bit over the top with it. That's fine. I could do a better job of it. Actually, looking at the base, I could probably do a much better base. That was very lackluster. I got a bit lazy there, so I'm going to do a bit more inventive stuff over there. These typically come in pairs. So you start with 2. When you buy a unit, you start with 2. I could just have one if I wanted, but you pay the points, you get 2, you might as well have it. And they work with these guys. So this is the Datasmith. He comes along, he programs him, he does really cool stuff. If this guy dies, he just has like base program or stays with what his last program was, but this guy changes it, makes him better. You can see how big he is, he's huge. But I've got a few of these, so I could paint another one of these. My friend who gave me all these models gave me some that were painted. He painted them in the Mars colours in his very neat and tidy sort of comic book style. Really like that. I haven't painted over it. Maybe in the future I will paint over him, but I'm just going to leave him as he is for now because he looks nice. So here's my version. Here's his version. I put gloss in my visor, and I think that was probably a bad move because his is very, very matte, but he's painted the shiny effect because it's so smooth. It's a nice shiny effect in there. It's really nice. But I've got a couple of unpainted ones of these where I could have another to go along with him. They're actually really quite easy to paint. I've got loads of other bits and pieces. I've got a box full of stuff. Literally full of stuff. So much so that I can't even fit it on the desk. I've got one of the things that I'm really into, the Ballistari. So I've got one of these guys, Strider. I think it's called a Ballistari or the Iron Strider, because there's 2 different types. This one here has a heavy weapons platform on the top. I'm not really into the heavy weapons on them very much, and I wish I could change this one, but I don't have anything to change it into. I don't have the other thing for it. It does get changed into a Lancer. So rather than having cannons on the top that this guy up here holds, you see him sat in the chair? He can have a lance, and they are basically jouster things. I really like that. I do have one on the sprue in the box that will be either or. So I could spend some time, make it up, and have the jousting one, but that will take probably more than a week to do. That was my time frame. So I've got those 2 as options. I've got loads of plastic in here that I want to get rid of all that. There we go. Get out too. I've got, here's the other robot that I've got that's completely unpainted. He has a similar makeup and stuff, so he's got the big fists like the other guy's got, but he's got some sort of big flamethrower on the top of there, which looks super boss. So I've got another robot that I could paint. That would give me a matching pair of robots, right? That'd be really cool. I've got a Dune Crawler, which is their version of a tank. That's a little bit bigger, a little bit busier, more going on there. That would be quite a project to do. I think though, before I was to go do something like that, it might be better to have a bit more of a practice at something like these 2. But I could do that. I've got loads of stuff, man. I've got Tech Priests. So here's one that my friend painted. Isn't that beautiful? Like, I just kind of want to keep it as like, a keepsake. He's actually, I've got a knight as well, fully painted Mars knight, and it's just off the screen over there. It's just there as a nice kind of reminder of the generosity of my friend. I think it's beautiful, really, really nice. So I've got that one, but I've got an unpainted one as well. Man, there's nearly £1,000 worth of stuff that I got here. I've got Belisarius Call, but I'm not going to do anything with him just yet. I'm deliberately holding off on him for something later. I've got 3 Servitors on tracks. I think I need to do all of those together, so maybe that's not a project necessarily I want to do. I've got another half-painted robot. You can see my friend was doing this one. The flamethrower on top, but he's got the guns in the hands. So that's another option. Yeah. Yeah, man, I've got so many things, and I'm not necessarily going to choose right now. I'm going to leave it open to to the community as well, because you guys have to sit there and watch me paint. I'm happy to paint any of these. So any kind of feedback, what happened to my voice there? Any kind of feedback or kind of input that you want to have on that, what would you like to see me paint next? I'm more than happy to entertain the ideas as they come on in. Doesn't stop there though. Oh no, it really doesn't. I've also got units and units of Skitari still on their sprues. This is the ones out of the box. I've got 2 more boxes of them over there. The Skitari units can either be Skitari Vanguard or Rangers. So the Rangers are the ones that I've already got where they've got their little hoods up, like this dude. Or the Vanguard have different weapon layouts and they don't have their hoods, they have helmets. And they look more like this dude. Got the hiccups again. So there's some options for you. Let me just... Yeah, there we go. I've also got, because it doesn't stop there either, one of my more favourite units in the game are like the Hyper Assassins. So these come on Terminator bases, a bit dusty because they sat in the box for a while. These come on Terminator bases, you get 5 of these in a unit. Basically they've had all their limbs cut off like normal Skitari, but these ones are basically a small unit of elite it's like hyper speed assassin people. They have like vibro swords. Yeah, they're really disturbing. Look at their legs and look at their limbs. And there's a couple of different types of these ones. These ones, some of them have like hooded heads. These ones have like just like bare heads or mask heads. Really sort of steampunk, almost going into diesel punk sort of territory. Really, I've got 3 of those. They're really cool. Love them. They're really expensive in terms of points in the game as well. They need a lot of cleaning up because my friend, when he put them together, he doesn't really care for going too far with cleaning up the sprues, and he does a little bit as he goes, so they need a lot of cleaning up to do. I think I've got... Yeah, there's a unit leader to go with them. This guy here has a hood and many arms. So he's got like an arm here with a reverse grip sword, an arm here with a upturned sword, a funny little claw hand here. So this arm comes off his backpack, and the other backpack here has this weird whip spiky thing. So yeah, man, that's really cool. And do you know, they're quite big, broad, spread out models, and they're not that busy. It wouldn't take an awful lot of effort to paint these guys up. So yeah, I could really explore metallics on them as well, but they're kind of like leather clad. Do you remember Hellboy, the first Hellboy movie that came out, and the clockwork steampunk guy thing and that? It reminds me very much of that. Very much of that. Fabulous models. Absolutely love them. So I've got those guys as well. There's loads of stuff that I can paint. I could just do more infantry because, you need infantry, right? And yeah, of course, I still need to finish and fine-tune some of my other miniatures. Like this guy here with the plasma rifle. That looks awful. That's my second attempt on that. I know the camera doesn't really show it up, but looking in front of me here, I'm actually quite ashamed of the attempt that I've had on that. So yeah, he needs a bit of finishing off. I've got my arc rifle over here as well, where I started with the best intentions to try and do a glow effect with purple, and as you can see, that didn't go very well. It went better than the blue though. So yeah, I need to sort my life out when it comes to doing glow techniques. So yeah, there's still like the orange on these didn't go very well. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot painting my Skitari units. Had a lot of fun doing it as well. Anyway, loads of stuff to think about, and we are pretty much at the end of the show as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come away from here, and I'm just going to make sure that I've covered everything that I want to talk about, because like I said, I'm so excited about coming back and having gone to Salute last week that it's so much stuff to talk about. One of the other things that I've been talking about over the last few shows, and I've not really ever given it an awful lot of dialogue about, is the potential for a local gaming club, an Easy 8 gaming club. Originally, Easy 8 started off in my brain and in the brains of my close friends as a gaming community rather than a painting community. Because, like I said earlier, we got to that point in our lives where making friends was the main part of the hobby. We want to play loads of games, we want to play all the time because we're just big kids really, and that's the fun of it. Now, I know that even though Easy 8 is watched across the world, and I've got viewers in India, Australia, and the US, and Germany, and all over the UK, a gaming club isn't going to be, while it might be appealing for everybody, might not be accessible for everybody. I understand that. But there is also a very large contingent of people that do live, at least within the same county that I do. So we have been talking about, in the more local echelons of Easy 8, if you like, about making a gaming club, and I'm really, really stoked and excited about it. I play in a group of people of about 6 or 7 people, myself included in that number, and at the moment that number fits very well into the houses that we play in, so there's no point in us really pushing out ourselves into a hall where we would pay money to make that happen. But if the community gets bigger, then that is something that we are wanting to do and explore. We've already got like a venue that we are looking at to start off small, and then maybe over time build up into something much bigger. And it might be that it can become so popular that we start like having meetups within the community in other places across the county or even the country. Now, this is a little bit pie in the sky. I get that, but it's always good to have a vision, no matter how over the top it may seem. That's the kind of the vision that we've got in our minds, and it starts small. It always has to start. It always starts somewhere. Every journey starts with the first step. So what we're just trying to do is just trying to put the feelers out there for who's really interested in this sort of thing. If it's a local community that just wants to meet locally, then we can facilitate that here. That's really easy to do. But if there are viewers that are dotted across the country that would like to meet up occasionally, then that's how that starts. That's how we kind of push out a little bit more. And we try to make it more regular over time. That time will be years, obviously. It's not like one day we've got 88 subscribers, the next day we've got 1,088, and then so on and so forth. It doesn't happen like that. We are aware. We're just dreaming, because that's the whole point, right? If anyone's got any ideas on an Easy 8 club, I don't think at this stage that there's anything that's too wacky, too out there. So share your ideas with it. If you get excited about a dream that you had with an Easy 8, which is what this started off as, funnily enough, then share those ideas with me in the usual ways that you can. On the live chat over here, if you want to talk to the guys when there's more of them, because they'll be more chattier, obviously. If you want to talk to me, you can always drop me a line in the comments down there. You can find me over on Facebook, which is up here. There's a link down there in the description. And I read everything, and I talk to all of the guys in the community, and that's a big part of it for me, is making the friends, having those conversations, and eventually something will happen. So yeah, that's my input here. I'm really excited about the prospect of a gaming community. Like I said, this is where Easy 8 first started off being, and it was the pandemic that brought it to what we are now, is bringing people together. So those are some of my thoughts on an Easy 8 gaming club. And I know it's quiet in the live chat today, and it is nice to kind of bring this up when there's lots of people talking together live. So I'm going to bring it up in the future as well, and maybe you have some ideas on it then as well. Anyway, that's enough from me this week. It's been a really exciting week. Clearly I've still got some excitements carrying over from Salute. It was a wonderful time away. Looking forward to going to Exeter Legionary show. There is actually a link down there if anyone's interested, so you can actually plan your route if you wanted to come in from somewhere else. And we are looking to go in other places after then as well. It's really nice lately that we're getting a community of people that want to meet up from all over the place. It's really fabulous. Anyway, I've had a great evening this evening painting my little miniatures. It's been quiet, but it's been lovely. It's been nice to meet some new faces. Thank you very much for coming along. I genuinely hope that you come along more often. Just making sure that I've got everything I need over here. Still trying to learn where all my buttons are. Don't forget, if you like what we do here, hit the subscribe button. It really helps the community grow. Share the word of Easy 8. Tell a friend, tell some friends, tell strangers in the street, and hopefully we get some more subscribers. I'm really looking forward to the community growing. It's been brilliant tonight. Stay safe, be kind, keep on painting, and I'll see you next week. Take care now. Bye-bye. Normally I say something at the end, but nothing came to my head. Don't know what to say.